folks, and welcome to their Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Mikey.
The three
The three amigos.
Oh my goodness.
I was going to say M&M, but then I was like, no, that's only two.
I love M&Ms. What's
I
your
love
favorite kind of
Mrs.
M&M?
Probably I like the coffee M&Ms, but I like the peanut.
Yeah, peanut M&Ms.
Yeah.
They made spicy M&Ms for a short time, and I like those.
And we talked about, candy 2 months ago, but I just love candy.
With candy. You know what else we talked about a few weeks ago? We talked about our Christmas movies that we told people they should see.
Oh, yeah.
You had a list of Hallmark movies, and I was like, stop. I'm going to get the missus here, and we're going to do top 5. And I'm not going to do it, but Mrs. and you are going to do top 5 Hallmark
No,
movies.
wait. You're not going to do this with us?
No.
Well, why don't you tell everybody out there why you're not going to?
Because they suck.
Negative.
Disagree.
But anyway, this is right in time. It's 2 weeks before Christmas, so if you want to snag some of these, if your wife wants to watch some of these, or maybe you're a female that listens to our podcast.
That's right.
So,
Or maybe you have a friend named Mikey that loves them.
okay,
You
so
can't
here
go wrong.
we go.
Because here's the thing. Every time I'm looking for a Christmas movie, I always pull
Now-
up your list because I'm like, I know he's
we
got
always,
That's right.
Now, one
That's
thing,
right.
we always say Hallmark movies, but
That's
the
right.
definition was given prior to the podcast that could be any TV Christmas movie, meaning Lifetime or GAC or whatever other.
That's right. There's a certain style, and if you've seen one, they are very similar, but it
Yes.
is. It's a ABC Family, GAC, Lifetime, Hallmark. Not ones that are coming out on streaming services like Disney Plus, Hulu,
Right.
because
No.
those still have big name actors with big
Yeah.
budgets. That's a separate thing.
Yeah. Now, I brought Megan in on this because she used to watch them all the time with my mom, and they'd sit there like Siskel and Ebert, drinking their coffee, hitting pause, talking about the movie so far, and then giving their thoughts at the end. Does it get deleted from the DVR, or does it stay on the DVR for next year? I'm not kidding. There
I
are
believe
movies
it.
from years
You want to know
ago.
why? Because these movies are great, and
are.
sometimes they make you feel
Okay.
a certain way, and you might want to feel that way next year too.
I mean, I'm not even going to lie. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I just want to be in a Hallmark movie.
Okay,
Yes.
so Megan, you get to decide how much crossover will you and Mikey have.
I'm going to say 0.
0 crossover. Mikey, you have to say
Or
1.
maybe
I have to say one.
Wait. I'll let you get first pick, and then Mikey goes high or
a
low.
part of me wants to say 1, but I think it's going to be 0.
Okay, 0
Well,
then.
this one, with her being such a wild card, even though I've known her for years, we've known each other forever, and we share similar interests when it comes to these
Yeah.
types of lovely, wonderful things that Matt does not like. So I think that there's a possibility that there could be one, but
One.
then again, we have not discussed this
No,
at
we
all.
never
Yeah, we
discussed them.
haven't.
We never discussed
and
them.
there are so many of these, 10
Yes.
years ago that we might would have had 3 out of 5
Yeah.
because they're similar, but it has exploded. Like the Hallmark movies have exploded now. There's one every night almost.
Yeah.
On,
This is like Shark Week for them.
it
I
is.
just,
so
for my birthday, because I think you've already got my Christmas present, but for my birthday, I just want the Hallmark Channel app.
Okay. All right. So
I do.
you say 1.
I say 1.
I'm going to throw my name in the hat here and go 2.
Wow.
All right. So
Wow.
even though I have no I have no
Okay, I like
horse in
this
race.
I like
Okay.
this.
All right, so who would like to go? Mikey, you go first.
You want me to go first?
You go first,
But
number
she's,
5.
She's never here with us.
All right, number.
Right, it doesn't matter.
Or
I've
but
got-
if I go first, then that means then she gets to go last, which
Yes.
is great.
Yes.
So she can give her number 1 last.
That's why.
Yeah, and I like that. I like
Okay,
that.
so
Okay.
go first. So go
Okay.
first.
I'm
Yeah,
good
yeah.
going either.
Number 5.
Okay.
Okay.
So my number 5 is a movie that came out in 2015, and it is called Christmas in the Smokies.
I almost.
Do you know that movie?
I do know that movie. I
like-
almost put that on my list.
Wow.
So, this particular movie, stop me if you've heard this synopsis before. It takes place in the Smoky Mountains. It's very country, and it's on a berry farm, and there's this kind of family farm that they don't have enough money, and they're about to lose the farm, and girl who grew up on this farm, who's now kind of like she's in her like early 30s, and she's, you know, like the star of the show. She's the one that works really hard because her parents are older now.
Of course.
She had a high school boyfriend that moved away and grew up to be a big country star. And so he comes back into town for the holidays. They kind of rekindle or whatnot. She doesn't trust him because he left her many years ago, but he decides, she's very bitter. So he decides to swoop in and hold a hometown concert to raise money to save the farm. What I like about this particular movie, number one, is the aesthetic. You know, I tend to like the Hallmark movies that do take place in the country. I've always loved the Smoky Mountains, so it just feels like very Christmassy with the snow, the cabin, that sort of stuff. And I like the girl that's the lead. Like a lot of these movies, since they are the same, a lot of them live and die off of like the charisma with the actors, the chemistry with the actors. This particular girl was the girl who played Chuck's sister on the TV show Chuck, and she also was in a couple of episodes of Scrubs. She was the hot gift shop girl. So she has like, that was her name. So she has like kind of a pedigree. Yeah, she was like the hot gift shop girl because she worked in the gift shop and she was hot. And it was right after JD and Elliot broke up and he was trying to like move on. Wow. So anyway, long story short, it's a great movie. I'm glad that you know it, and it's one that I will watch over and over again because it makes me feel good. I would keep it on the DVR.
I will say, it is. You're right. There is something special about the movies that are set in the country versus like big city. Like I do tend to go towards more of the country farm, setting.
All right, Mrs. So you're up, number 5.
Well, this one is an older movie. I thought it was almost going to be this one. That what you were gonna say, but it's not. But this one is it's more, I guess, kind of like your Lifetime instead of the Hallmark. But it's Melissa Joan Hart and Mario Lopez, Holiday in Handcuffs.
That's my number 3.
Shut up. We got one crossover.
That's
Holiday
the one.
in Handcuffs.
I was like,
2007.
I was like, if we have one, it's going to be that one.
Love that movie.
Holiday in Handcuffs. All right, talk about it, Mrs. and Mikey, then you.
Yeah, so we can talk about it together. But so Melissa Joan Hart is a waitress, and her boyfriend breaks up with her like right before Christmas. She's going home to her family. She doesn't want to disappoint her parents. So this guy walks in, and she pretty much kidnaps him and is like, you got to pretend to be my boyfriend.
And this is Mario Lopez.
Mario Lopez, yeah.
AC Slater from Saved by the Bell.
It's all right because he's Saved by the Bell.
Yeah. And so, anyway, so she kidnaps him, takes him to her family's house, and just pretty much convinces her parents that this is her boyfriend. He says crazy things because he's nervous or something, because he's trying to tell them he's been kidnapped. And anyway, so it's like a comedy, and it's just like those two together. Chemistry, again, like you said, makes a big difference, and I love their chemistry together. Plus I love Melissa Joan Hart. And anyway, and of course they end up falling in love at the end. But it's just so good.
It is a great movie, and I have an interesting story about this movie. So whenever I first met Lindsay, my fiance, I love Christmas. Everybody that knows me knows that I love Christmas, and she likes Christmas too. So, but she's a little bit more practical. We've all been in theater. We're all dreamers. Right. She's an accountant. She's
realistic.
Not as much. She's more realistic,
by the
right?
Numbers.
She cannot stand this movie.
What?
And this is the reason why. And she asked me just earlier today, whenever I told her about my list, and she was like, are you going to put A Holiday in Handcuffs on there? I was like, yes, because I love that movie. And then she goes, are you going to tell them about your crazy fiance that hates this movie? I was like, yes, I am. Because she looks at it and she's like, nobody would ever do that. She pulls out a fake gun and kidnaps this guy. I cannot get behind a kidnapping. And then at the very end, they fall in love after this crazy chick kidnaps this dude. Yeah. No way. She's like, it would never happen. I'm like, it's a suspension of disbelief. You got to have fun. She's like, nope, it would never happen.
Not gonna happen.
Yep, and she can't get past that. But me, I love it. It's goofy. It's fun. You're right. It's like an episode of Three's Company because it's just misunderstandings. He does. He's like flat out like, she kidnapped me. I don't know this person. And then she's just telling her parents, oh yeah, he's just saying that because he's nervous, and we're playing a joke on each other, and they believe it.
It's I think too is like, I feel like a little bit of me, I can relate to like her character wanting like you.
Matt, are you kidnapped all these years?
No.
Yeah, by gunpoint.
it would be anyway, different story.
All right.
No, I think just the pressure from your family to have some, to have someone or whatever, but just the things that she does throughout, like ruins her hair, like the most awful haircut that, just the little bit, it just, nothing seems to go right for her. And you just kind of feel bad for her.
You do.
A little bit.
Yes.
I don't know. And it is funny because in real life, you would not go for someone, like you wouldn't root for someone who just kidnapped someone. But with her, like, you're just like, oh my goodness, can she just fall in love? Like, I
Yes.
just want her
Can't
to
she
be
catch
happy.
a break here? Come on.
Yes.
All right. So, Mikey, first crossover, very good.
Wow, that's amazing.
Number 4. I think there's going to be another one.
There might be. My crossover, the one that I thought was going to happen, was not that one. So there
Okay.
very well may be another one.
All right, let's go for it.
Okay,
What's
so this
4?
one is the newer one. This is actually the newest movie that I have on my list. It was 2019. But this movie right here is very special. I will watch it every year, if not every other year. It'll go in my yearly rotation because they hit it right on the nose with this movie.
Oh.
And you've probably seen it, and I hope you've seen this one.
Okay.
This one is called A Christmas Movie Christmas. And it is a Hallmark movie where these
heard of
two
it.
friends, I can't remember if they're friends or sisters, but there's two girls, and they are in their apartment watching a Hallmark movie, and something magical and mystical happens, and they wake up in the
movie.
Hallmark movie.
Yes,
Okay.
I have seen that.
And it's so good because it takes this whole like notion that, because like we were talking earlier, Hallmark movies have just exploded and they've become a thing. They've become
Yeah.
almost a shtick. And so they were basically making fun of themselves because the town that they
That's
woke up
smart.
in,
That's smart.
It's very clever
Yeah.
and very smart, was this perfect, idyllic, like, music starts at the same time. Everybody's happy. The hot chocolate's
smart.
always
I
hot.
like that.
And so they have to kind of figure out, the puzzle to get out of that and get back to their real life. And spoiler alert, it involves like falling in love and doing those sorts of things or whatever. But it's a cute premise for a Hallmark movie. And the whole time you're watching it, you're like, I want to live there, because that's the whole. How many times have we said that watching a
know,
Hallmark
I
movie?
know.
I want to live in that village. I
Well,
want
every year I'm
to
like,
shop in that
Matt,
shop.
I want to take a vacation at this time of year to a Hallmark town.
Exactly.
Like, I always look up, does this town exist?
Yes, and it does. It's called Gatlinburg in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Yes, and did I not say I
Oh
want
my
to go
gosh!
to Gatlinburg?
You go there at Christmas
Okay.
time, it is a total like Christmas. Oh my gosh, crazy! But anyway, yeah. So watch that movie. It's fantastic and it's clever and it's funny and it's good. Instant classic
I do
for me.
remember that.
There you go.
I watched it last year for the first time when I was wrapping presents.
All right, Mrs. What's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4 is, I don't think it's like this year new, but I just discovered it when I was binge watching Christmas movies, and it's called Noel Next Door.
I know what you're talking about, but yeah, it's not on my list.
Oh,
Okay.
You got to see this.
So it's fresh on my mind, but it's about this girl. Her name is Noelle. She has a son, and she's recently divorced, and so she's trying to figure out, like, the husband or the dad wants to get the son for Christmas because he says the son needs to be with a family for Christmas, not just one parent. So I'm guessing he's remarried, so they've been divorced. But anyway, so she meets this guy who ends up being their neighbor in the apartment complex, but the son has run-ins with this guy, and he's like a grouch. Like, he's very grinchy and just he's mean, nobody likes him. But she, not knowing who he was, stands up for him because he comes into her restaurant. And then, they end up talking and falling in love. And then, towards the end of the movie, she finds out that he's the mean person that's been rude to her son. And anyway, but it just, and then of course at the end, we all know how it ends up.
They
But
die?
No.
Oh.
He gets kidnapped.
He does.
By gunpoint.
Yes, by Clarissa.
Another restaurant story.
That's
Or a
great.
waitress story. But anyway, so, and, things happen and they overcome it. And anyway, so it's a really, I actually was watching that movie and the girls kept interrupting me. So I was like, I'm going to have to come back and watch it. So I paused it. But then Piper stayed home from school one day or she got sent home from school for being sick or something. So I ended up watching the rest of it and she sat and watched it with me. Well, then she kept saying, like, there's a scene where the little boy lets his bunny rabbit loose in the man's house. And so Piper kept saying, Mama, can we watch the movie with the bunny? And I was like, do you like that movie? And she was like, yeah, can we watch it from the beginning?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, we can. Well, then she told Meridian.
Yes, we can.
So Meridian's like, Mama, I didn't get to watch that movie. So it is on my list to watch with the girls.
Wow.
Yes.
Because Piper sat literally through the second half
Make
of
sure
the
Matt's
movie
in the
and
room
watched
whenever
it.
you started over.
I'm telling you.
So it was enough to keep my 3-year-old's attention. So
Good enough. All right, so we already
Well,
know
my number
you're
3, yes. Yes.
I'm still thinking I'm going to win this.
Okay.
All right,
okay,
so
hold on.
number
Let me pull up my notes for my number 3.
All right, number 3, Mrs. It's back to you.
Okay.
See if you can snipe another one.
This one, I really contemplated it on being my number 2 because I love this movie so much.
Oh boy. There can be only one. All right.
I know. Okay, here's my
What
list.
is it? Yep.
So my number
3.
3 is A Very Country Christmas.
It's not on my list, but I love that movie. I know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. So this girl, again, single mom, and he's a country singer, and he comes back to this town that he grew up in or something, because they all know him. And she doesn't know he's a big country singer. So he just kind of hides his identity from her on that. And anyway, it's your typical love story. I'm reading my notes. I'm sorry.
All right.
But anyway, it's pretty much it. Like, she ends
All
up
right.
finding out that he's a celebrity, and she gets mad at him. And anyway, but just, it's something about this particular. I tell you what it is. It's the end. Have you've seen this movie? Okay. Whenever
Spoilers. Go.
do you not want me to tell you?
No, go for it. No,
Yes.
I said
Okay.
go for it.
Whenever
Yes.
he's leaving in his car, and she runs out and she calls him by name, and he stops the car and gets out and looks at her, and then like he runs to her and she runs to him, and then that hug.
It's that Notebook moment.
Oh my word! That I had to literally like back it up and watch it again, and that moment right there made me love that movie so much.
You
That's
should you
what
should
I
see her eyes right now.
I know,
If this
she is
was
so
like on,
excited
oh man,
about
she's
this
about to
one.
well up over here.
She loves it. Okay,
And
so
there's a
So
second
Matt,
one.
whenever you leave for work in January, I want you to get halfway out the driveway and I want you to stop,
It's not the same.
and then I want you to get out of the
it's a
car.
Hallmark movie.
It's not the same.
Not the same as a Hallmark movie.
The
You could wear a
brown-
cowboy hat.
The brown leaves in the yard's not the same as the snow on the
Oh my
ground.
goodness. All right.
I'll be out there with the snow machine for added effect.
So,
And a jukebox over your head.
oh my goodness. All right. So, what is now number 2?
My number 2.
Your
okay.
number 2.
So, for 7 years, this was my number 1, but it has slipped now to number 2.
It is falling.
I love this movie. I think this movie is just phenomenal in every way. It's very funny. It's a different type of Hallmark movie. I don't know if it was actually Hallmark. It could have been actually ABC Family, but it's the oldest one on my list. It was made in 2004,
Nice.
and it's called Snow. Have you ever seen Snow?
I have not.
Snow.
And they
Okay.
made a part 2, but Snow is the movie that's got
So good, they made a sequel.
They did, right? It's called Snow 2 Brain Freeze. So I can't think of the actor's name, but it's the guy that played in that TV show Ed. He was also JD's brother on Scrubs. And it's got the girl that played Victoria from How I Met Your Mother, the one that was the baker in season 1 that ended up coming back
I'll
later.
have to look
But
this
he is Santa's son. And he lives like on Earth, and he like doesn't want to be like Santa Claus, and so like they fall in love, and so like she convinces him to take over the family business even though he doesn't want to, and
Of course.
it's a little bit
Classic.
different than your normal like love story. Newer like Hallmark movie. It's very funny. It's just different and interesting, and once again, lots of charisma. She is my favorite Hallmark actress, like above like Candace Cameron, and
Burr,
Burr
all those
and
people.
What's
Lacey
her
Chabet. Her name is I think Ashley Williams. Is that her
Oh
name?
yeah.
She's in a lot of them, and she's super cute and super endearing.
She's the Hallmark Christmas queen.
To me, she is.
All right.
And so yeah, I highly recommend Snow. It's very fun.
All right, there you go. Snow, Mrs. Add
I'm
that one
gonna-
to your watch
I
list.
will. Don't let me forget.
All right.
When we leave.
So, Mrs., your you're number 2. I'm kind of getting
Okay.
scared here. There's only 2 more picks
I don't
here.
think there's going to be any more crossovers.
All right, let's go for it then.
Because I know Mikey, and I knew Holiday in Handcuffs was one.
Okay.
That could be a possibility. Okay, so my number 2 is Just in Time for Christmas.
I don't think I know that one.
Oh no,
Okay.
I'm screwed.
You
All right.
you need to watch this one. Okay, so it's about a girl named Lindsay and her her boyfriend. Oh, no.
Her boyfriend
Hey.
Mikey.
Her
Yes,
boyfriend
yes.
Jason.
Oh, Jason.
Oh no. Who's
Invites her
Jason?
to dinner, but on the way there, she receives a phone call that she's been offered a job at, like her dream job at a university, and so she has to decide: does she take the job, like move away and take the job that she's always wanted, or does she stay with her boyfriend? So after she leaves dinner, she's walking in the park by herself. And she's like trying to weigh out her options, and then all of a sudden, like this carriage comes, and this man offers her a ride in the carriage. Well, it ends up being William Shatner,
Whoa.
and yeah, he's in this movie, and this is the Hallmark movie.
The
And
Shatner.
So she gets in, and as they're going through the park, he's talking to her. Well, then she goes home, but when she wakes up, she's 3 years in the future, and she's accepted the job. So she gets to see what her life would be like
Okay.
if she took
Little
the
Christmas
job.
carols aspect here.
Yeah. So then, so she takes the job in the future, and then she sees what her life is like without her fiance. And so anyway, so she gets to live out the show, like in the what ifs. And then at the end, I won't give it away since you haven't seen it, but it's so good. Please watch it.
I will. Yes.
It is so good. And
All right.
another thing I love about that movie with the end is that she's in front of this coffee shop, and she's watching him like through the window, and like across the street from the window, and it's just got that Christmassy, like almost like Christmas Carol vibe, but it's like you can just feel, I don't know, you just feel her, like she knows she should have taken, like, not the job, but she should have stayed with him. And
Right.
anyway, it's that moment that it's like, oh, what's gonna
See,
happen?
okay, so this moment you're talking about right here, this is a great point that I want to just touch on just briefly here. The reason why I love Hallmark movies is because in today's age, now don't get me wrong, there can still be good quality Christmas movies. See last year's 8-Bit Christmas. Lots of feeling in that
Yep.
movie. But most Christmas movies, in my opinion, that have come out in the past decade, they don't have that Christmas feel. They don't have the Christmas spirit. There's a lot of lowbrow jokes. It's a lot of silly humor. And I'm a huge fan of that, when appropriate. But for me, I like to feel I like for a Christmas movie to feel like Christmas. Hallmark movies do that. Like they're cheesy, but they tug on those heartstrings. They have so much Christmas spirit that a lot of the mainstream Christmas movies don't have, because people rarely get mad at each other in these movies. Like there may be misunderstandings, but they're an hour and like 20 minutes, so they don't have time for that. Like they're just like, people are positive. People get together. It's and they've gotten to the point now where like it doesn't matter if it's a guy and a guy, a girl and a girl, white, black. It doesn't matter. Like everybody, they don't spend time worrying about that stuff. Like everybody's just happy,
right.
And I like that feel. They have a lot of Christmas spirit, and that's one of my favorite things about Christmas is the spirit and the feeling of it. And I think too many of these newer movies miss the mark on that. They're trying to be funny in a way that doesn't hit for me.
No, I would agree. And the thing with I feel like the reason I love the Hallmark movies so much is because when it's over, it's like, I want to know what happens next. Like, I know it's just a movie, but if this was like actual documentary, like I want to know what happens next. Like, what happens after?
Because they're all love stories,
Christmas.
basically.
Yes.
Where are they now?
And,
Okay.
and most other Christmas movies probably aren't love stories, but these are all love stories, so you kind of want to know what happens in the happily ever after,
Yeah.
and things like that.
All right, number 1.
This is the one that I thought would be a crossover for me and
All
you.
right, so here we go. If
'Cause-
you get the same number 1,
It's
that's
not.
gonna be
It's not
okay.
gonna be
Because this is my
right, 'cause
favorite.
Megan
This is my
hates
favorite
whatever your number 1
Hallmark.
is.
I don't think she's probably seen it, but there's no way she hates it.
Okay, I think she does.
So this movie, there's a trope in this movie that any movie that uses this, I like. It's just universal. Okay. So the name of this movie is called 12 Dates of Christmas. and it's got Mark Paul Gosselaar
Yes.
and Amy Smart, and it is a Groundhog Day type of movie.
Yes.
Where
Oh, wow.
she is this, woman that, either can't find love or she's too busy for love or that sort of thing, and she gets set up on a blind date. And it's Mark Paul Gosselaar, and something goes wrong with it. He was like recently, and maybe not recently, but in like the past 3 years or whatever, I think his wife had passed away, and this was like his first night out, and she just totally like blows it or whatever. Well, she goes to a convenience store or a shopping mall or whatever, and she gets accidentally sprayed in the face with perfume.
Yes.
And
In
she
the
and she
face.
hits the ground, and whenever she wakes up, she lives that day. Well, something happens every night, and then it reverts back to her getting pulled up and waking up in that same moment where she gets sprayed with perfume. So it's like Groundhog Day. It's like those Happy Death Day movies that we like.
Yeah.
It's like Edge
Yeah.
of Tomorrow that we love, And so she has to relive the same day over and over and over again until she gets it right, until she falls in love. And speaking of Mario Lopez earlier, I love Mark Paul Gosselaar. I've always loved
yeah.
Zach Morris.
Oh, yeah.
And even as he's gotten older, he's very charismatic. He's a good actor, and Amy Smart, she's not my favorite in the world, but she was in quite a few
Just
good
Friends.
movies there between like 2000 and 2012, and Just Friends is great. I love Rat Race. I thought she was really good in that movie, Rat
Yeah.
Race. Anyway, but this is one of those movies that I love that trope, and so the movies where people repeat the same day over and over and over again, I can watch over and over and over again because they're fun. They don't take themselves too seriously, but it also ends up having a pretty good story to it because it has some meat on the bones where he is trying to love again. He has a backstory there that's not just he's a regular person, and then she has some family issues and things like that, and that and so it's got depth to it.
I think you would you would find it interesting. I think I do watch that movie every year. It is funny because I was like, should I add that to my list? But then I was like, no, and I didn't. But that would almost been.
I mean,
crossover.
it must mean something if you watch it every year.
Mrs., what is your number one?
Okay, so this one is not Hallmark per se, but it's got a Hallmark feel. Here's the thing. I came across this movie when I was searching for Hallmark movies, and I guess I thought it was a Hallmark movie. But talking about Christmas feeling of all, okay, anyway. So this movie is called The Spirit of Christmas. Do you know this movie?
I don't. Maybe not.
Okay. Just the chemistry of the actor and actress in this movie. I had to look up who he was because one, he's so dreamy, but two, like she's not like your typical. She's a beautiful lady, but she's not your like. I don't think she would be like gorgeous leading lady, and not that she would ever hear this or anybody would know her, but anyway. So it's about this girl who is she works for this firm, and they're trying to close on this house, like this mansion type thing, and she's sent to get the house appraised and get the estate sold, but it's haunted per se, so it won't, like, nobody will go through the process of doing it. So while she's there, she's like, I'm gonna stay the night, we're gonna get this done, I'll check in. Well, come to find out, the person who runs the estate, he's like, it's the ghost is not letting the approval go through, whatever, he's running people off. Well, then you find out that she actually comes in contact with the ghost. So he's the guy who had the estate. Yeah, he just looked it up.
All right.
He's the guy that had the estate, but a century ago he was killed. So anyway,
So he's the spirit of Christmas.
the spirit. So she's here.
She's fallen in love with the ghost.
Yes. So she finally like talks him into like letting her sell the estate, get it appraised and stuff. But then you're like, but wait, he died a century ago. He's a ghost. Like, how is this going to play out? But so yes, they fall in love. Then he figures out like what happened to him, like who killed him and stuff like that. And then she falls asleep on the bench outside or whatever. And then when she wakes up, like because he arrives, every Christmas Eve, but then he has like so many days, and then he's gone until the next year. But anyway, so it's like, what happens? And I don't want to give it away.
Don't give it away, because now I really want to watch this.
But it
Oh,
is
boy.
so. When
yes.
I saw this, I was like, I have to tell your mom. So I told your mom about it, and I was like,
Did she love it?
Yes, that's when we found out. I found out
Okay.
it wasn't Hallmark, but I was like, Wendy, you have to watch this movie. Like, you're gonna love it. And she was like, oh, that was so good. And that movie I do watch every year. I will
Okay.
watch it.
All right, I'm
boy.
excited.
There you go.
And then after you watch
Man.
it, you have to
You
text me
should,
and let me know.
All
if
right.
you can't like,
So-
just hear the sarcasm dripping off of Matt's every word over here, he is hating this.
All right.
And I'm loving it.
I love it.
I
just
love
love
it.
Hallmark Christmas movies.
So-
Christmas movies in
Hallmark
general.
Christmas movies feel good to my soul.
So there you go. I want anyone in the comments. Did you listen to the whole podcast? And
Yes.
if so,
Yes.
Do you have favorite Christmas Hallmark Lifetime /GAC / whatever movies? Because make the list, put it together, check it twice, and these guys will watch it, whether
Yes.
it's naughty
I will.
or nice.
Yes.
Chances are we've already seen it, but we will watch it again.
All right. And we'll see you next time on another
Saturday morning.
Samoflange.